A night at the Conjuring House. The chill in the air was palpable as I approached the old Arnold estate. Its reputation preceded it, and although I was skeptical about the paranormal, the stories I'd heard about the place sent a shiver down my spine. Pulling into the long gravel driveway, the house's imposing silhouette, bathed in the dim light of dusk, loomed before me. Despite my hesitation, curiosity propelled me forward. I was determined to spend a night at the Conjuring House. The moment I stepped inside, I was greeted by an overwhelming scent of age, old wood, decaying paper, and a hint of mildew. The creaky wooden floors moaned with every step, adding to the weight of history that surrounded me. I began to explore, my eyes slowly adjusting to the dim, muted lighting. Photographs lined the walls, their subjects staring blankly, forever frozen in a bygone era. The Perrin family's tales echoed in my mind as I roamed from room to room. The idea of Roger, Carolyn, and their 5 daughters living here, experiencing oddities and disturbances, added layers to my own perception of the house. In the living room, I imagined the family gathered around, sharing stories, completely unaware of the uncanny experiences awaiting them. The temperature seemed to drop as the evening wore on. Pulling my jacket tighter around me, I decided to set up camp in what appeared to be a former bedroom, the wooden frame of a long-abandoned bed still intact in one corner. As I settled down, the eerie quietness of the house became more pronounced. Every so often, I could hear the distant sounds of the house settling or the whisper of wind against the windows. A few hours into the night, my heart jumped as I heard a faint tapping sound from the window behind me. Turning slowly, I saw the branches of an old tree swaying in the wind, occasionally brushing against the glass. Laughing softly to myself at my own jitters, I tried to get some sleep, but the night was not to be restful. Around 2 a.m., I was jerked awake by the distant sound of a piano playing. The melody was faint, melancholic, and seemed to be coming from downstairs. Rising to my feet, I cautiously made my way toward the source. The living room held an ancient piano, its keys old and yellowed. The music had stopped, and no one was there. But one key was still vibrating slightly, as if it had just been played. The atmosphere felt thick, and I could feel the weight of countless unseen eyes upon me. The tales of the Perrin family's experiences echoed in my head. Were these the same sounds they had heard? The same feelings they experienced? Trying to shake off the eerie sensation, I headed to the kitchen to get a drink of water. The tap water was icy cold, almost numbing my hand as it flowed. As I sipped, a muffled voice broke the silence. Straining my ears, I realized it sounded like a woman sobbing. The sorrow-filled cries seemed to be coming from the walls themselves. My heart raced, and the hair on the back of my neck stood on end. Then, just as abruptly as they had started, the sobs stopped. The weight of the house's history and the memories of its past residents seemed to press in on me from all sides. It wasn't aggressive, but it was profoundly unsettling. I could feel the energy around me, thick with stories and experiences from years past. As dawn approached, the house seemed to sigh in relief, as if it had shared its tales and was ready to rest. With the first rays of sunlight filtering through the windows, the overwhelming sense of being watched began to wane. Exhausted and emotionally drained, I stepped outside, taking a deep breath of fresh morning air. The experience at the Conjuring House was unlike any other. While I hadn't seen any apparitions or been confronted by any menacing entities, the weight of its history and the emotional residue left behind by its past residents were tangible. As I drove away, the house sat quietly in my rearview mirror, a silent witness to centuries of life, death, and everything in between. The Haunting at Blackwood Mansion. The opportunity came to me one evening as I perused an online auction, and there it was, a single night stay at the infamous Blackwood Mansion. Curiosity piqued. I placed my bid and to my surprise, won. The mansion, situated on a secluded hillside in the small town of Hollow Creek, had long been the stuff of legends. Tales of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds echoing through its ancient halls had kept locals and tourists alike at a wary distance. But I was never one to believe in ghost stories, and the opportunity to spend a night in such a historically significant location was too tempting to resist. As I drove up the winding road to the mansion, the sun was setting, casting the imposing stone facade in a dusky glow. The structure was a relic from a bygone era, with tall Gothic spires, large arched windows, and a grand double-door entrance that seemed to beckon me in. The lawn was overgrown, and the fountain at the front lay still, its once sparkling water now covered in moss. The heavy wooden door creaked open, revealing a vast entrance hall adorned with dusty portraits and dim, flickering chandeliers. A chill ran down my spine, not from fear, but from the sudden drop in temperature. Shaking off the unease, I started my exploration. The first room to my left was a library, with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with old tomes and manuscripts. As I browsed, a faint rustling caught my attention. Thinking it was a rat or some other small critter, I was surprised to find a page from an old diary that seemed to have been torn out and left on the table. It read, October 11th, 1892. The whispers have grown louder. I can hear them even now as I write. They call to me from the walls, from the very air. I fear I may be losing my sanity. The date struck me. It was precisely 131 years ago to the day. A coincidence, perhaps? Continuing my journey, I headed to the ballroom. Moonlight filtered through the broken windows, casting eerie patterns on the polished floor. The room was silent except for the distant hooting of an owl. But as I walked, the sound of soft music began to fill the room. A piano, playing a melancholic tune from somewhere unseen. My rational mind tried to find a logical explanation. Perhaps it was a music box or a recording. But when I neared the grand piano at the corner, the music abruptly stopped, and the room was plunged into silence once more. Intrigued and a little unnerved, I made my way upstairs. The bedrooms were in various states of decay. In one, the faded remnants of a once opulent canopy bed stood. In another, children's toys were scattered, long abandoned. As I passed by a cracked mirror, I caught a fleeting glimpse of a figure in a long white gown behind me. Whipping around, I found nothing but empty space. Determined not to let my imagination get the better of me, I set up my sleeping bag in one of the less damaged bedrooms. The wind outside had picked up, causing the mansion to groan and creak in protest. The hours ticked by. Every shadow seemed to shift, every noise echoed with an otherworldly quality. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, a soft sobbing sound reached my ears. It was coming from the hallway. Grabbing my flashlight, I ventured out. The sobbing grew louder as I approached the room at the end of the hall. Pushing the door open, I found an old nursery. The crib, though empty, rocked gently back and forth, the soft crying echoing from its depths. I spent the rest of the night wide awake, listening to the mansion and its myriad of sounds. As dawn broke, the ambience of the house seemed to change, and the weight of the night lifted. Upon leaving, I felt a mix of relief and wonder. The Blackwood mansion, with its stories and mysteries, had given me a night I would never forget. Whether it was haunted or not, I couldn't say for sure, but the mansion was alive in its way, echoing with the memories of the past. The experience changed me. I no longer dismissed tales of the supernatural, for in the stillness of the night, in an old, forgotten mansion, I had felt the presence of something beyond the realm of the living. And while I may never know the true nature of what resides in Blackwood Mansion, I'll forever cherish the night I spent in its haunting embrace. Thank you for journeying with us into the realm of the unknown tonight. If you felt a shiver down your spine and want to dive deeper into the world of true horror, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It's the best way to ensure you never miss out on our spine-tingling tales. Until next time, remember, the scariest stories are the ones that are true. Sleep tight, brave souls.